I'm going for the underdog in this fight with Rose Namajunas. I think a lot of people are overlooking Rose in this fight. She's got a height and reach advantage, and yes, she hasn't been that active over the last couple of years, but we know she can take a punch. Jessica Andrade in that rematch, she landed a good shot on Rose. Rose was able to survive and win a decision in that one, and I think outside of that one loss to Jessica Andrade in the first fight they had, which was a fight, by the way, that Rose was winning, I think Rose has looked pretty outstanding overall. You can't ignore those 2 wins over Joanna and Jacek. Weili Zhang hits like a truck. It's possible she could knock out Rose Namajunas, but I think Rose survives that and ends up winning a decision here, and really showing that she still is a top strawweight in that division right now. I think a lot of the people that are high on Weili Zhang don't like Rose Namajunas because of the whole Conor McGregor bust situation with her being out for a while. Don't ignore the fact that she's a very talented fighter. I think she goes out there, surprises a lot of people, and reclaims her strawweight title.
Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas is a very, very interesting fight because Rose always comes prepared. You know, we saw her in a couple of Joanna and Jacek fights. She looked absolutely fantastic and got great wins there. But I think Zhang Weili is just too strong, fast, and athletic for Rose Namajunas and many of the people in that division, to be honest. She hits too hard, and I think she can take a great shot too. I think Zhang Weili will win this fight towards the kind of the middle to championship rounds. I think Rose will start well and be fast and maybe win the opening round, but as the longer the fight goes, I think Rose will stay in it, absolutely, but I think Zhang will cause damage and she will win rounds, and I think she'll probably end up maybe late stoppage, but I think Zhang is going to get the decision here.
Yeah, this is a great fight, and it's funny, their records are so different. If you were dropped down from Mars, you'd say, Weili's definitely going to win, but while I do lean with her, I think it will be a good fight. I'm going to say a decision, but Rose is going to have her moments, but I'm picking Weili.
I actually do think Zhang Weili will win. I think the big octagon is going to play a big factor in this. I know Rose likes to have a lot of room to move, maneuver, and all that stuff. We saw that in the Jessica Andrade fight where when she had space, she could really pick her apart from the outside and all that. But I just think Zhang Weili is the best strawweight in the world. We saw one of the greatest fights in the history of MMA, and she came out victorious against Joanna and Jacek. So I just think Zhang Weili's strength, durability, cardio, everything checks off. The only thing Rose has is the only thing that Rose has that is superior in her arsenal is probably her grappling. I just think Zhang Weili's going to be really hard to grab a hold of. So I see Zhang Weili winning a 5-round decision.
This is going to be this is going to be a fight that's going to be similar to the Joanna fight. I feel like they're just going to go back and forth. They're not going to be going to the ground. And I wish they would, but I'm thinking that they're not at all. They're not even going to go for takedowns. You might see a little bit of clinching, but that's about it. And if they go blow for blow, I'm taking Zhang Weili. I have to, man. Like, look at my face. Like,
I'm going with Zhang. There's just something about her. Like in that fight against Joanna that she showed. I don't want to use the word indomitable spirit again because I just used that for Kamara, but she showed that she's crazy tough and she's super, super technical. And I don't know, like, in fact, I go back to the Rose Namajunas fight that she had with Jessica Andrade at UFC 251. Yeah, that was 251. If that fight was going another 2 rounds, I was leaning in favor of Jessica Andrade. Obviously, that was a three round fight, and in the beginning of the 3rd round, and then late in the 3rd round, Jessica was having huge success, and I think that Hyon hits really, really hard. So I'm going to go with Weili to win. I'm going to go by 3rd round TKO.
It's got excitement written all over it. I think that depends a lot on how Zhang Weili approaches the fight. Does she sort of maraud in and try and close that gap, or does she get back into that technical kickboxing fight she had with Joanna and Jacek? If she does the latter, I think Rose could beat her. I'm leaning towards the champion. I think she has more power, and I think that while Joanna was able to stay in there with the champ, I think Zhang might be able to put Rose away. So I'm leaning towards Zhang Weili.
I would go New. I think Rose is the best strawweight in the world. I think this fight stays standing. I think Weili Zhang hits harder, but I think Rose Namajunas will just throw more volume, be the more technical striker. I think Weili needs to knock Rose out to win. I don't think she's going to win a decision off Rose, because Rose just throws so much volume and doesn't get tired, where it just looks so good on the judges, where she's constantly out striking you 2-1.
Oh yeah, this is a fantastic fight. I'm happy that Weili is back. I think she puts on another stellar performance. Rose is tough. She's a tough cookie to break, but Weili just seems like worlds ahead in her division. So I think Weili is also going to get another solid win here.
Yeah, this fight's interesting, especially now that Rose has made some kind of political comments about Weili Zhang and her Chinese background, especially because she's Lithuanian. You got to see those comments, Shaq. They're a little bit out there. So this fight means a lot to her, clearly. You know, Rose is a good fighter. We've seen that time and time again. She beat Joanna twice. She's very impressive, but I got to go with the champ, man. You know, that fight with Joanna was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. She hasn't fought in a year, but she's taken the whole time to recover. I think she's going to come in here and put her hurting on Rose. I do think she wins this fight.
Rose Namajunas, you know, on her best day can beat anybody, right? That's sort of what makes her such a special talent. People will look at her record and it's not a sterling. She's not whatever, like 12-0, 13-0, 14-0. She has some losses in there to good but not great fighters. But at the same time, we know that she can beat the best. She's beaten the best twice. She beat Joanna. So now she faces maybe could be the new greatest, depending how the rest of her title defenses go. So I like Rose's chances, but I'm of course leaning towards the champ. I think she's a superior striker. I think she's really tough. I don't think she's gonna be able to get submitted, and she has a strong ground game. So I'm going with the champ by decision.
Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas. Oh man, it feels like forever since that Joanna versus Weili matchup. Over a year now. Should not have been this long to finally see Weili back in the octagon and against somebody like Rose. This is a fantastic matchup. I think that they have some very equal traits to them. The speed with their strikes, two of the fastest out there, and especially in their division. Very accurate, just fantastic technique that they possess. But overall, man, two of the fighters with the best killer instinct, I think, in the division, and that is shown, and that is a big reason why they are in the spots that they are. Former champ and the current champ, so big deal there. And I don't know, I think the great equalizer here is going to be the fact that Weili, things are very equal between them, especially in the striking. As I mentioned, the speed, but the power is going to be a big difference for Weili, and the fact that, you know, they're both very durable. Some may say that Rose has proven to be more durable, but you got to think that's an accumulation of damage she's taken over the course of her career, in particular with both of those Jessica Andrade fights. So, yes, Weili did take a lot of damage against Joanna, but she came out on top, was always in it, was never visibly hurt, as was Joanna in that one. So I think that if anybody has taken more damage throughout their career so far, it has been Rose, and that might finally lead to something in this one. And the ground game has been a big point of contention too for a lot of people in this one. But if you look at Weili's career prior to the UFC, which I understand that, you know, a lot of people might not have known about her before getting here, she has utilized her fantastic grappling skills in a lot of her career up until this point. She just hasn't needed to in the UFC because she is such a great striker. And even in the performances that we have seen her grappling, she has looked very, very good. You know, Tisha Torres and then Jessica Aguilar, which, yes, it was a more over-the-hill Jessica Aguilar. But to do that to her, incredibly impressive. And we know what Rose is capable on the ground. And you know, will she take it there? I don't think that she will. If somebody is to take it there, I think it would actually be Weili and maybe surprise people by doing that early on in the fight. But overall, I expect this to take place on the feet. And if anybody's going to do more damage, I think that the speed will be equal, but Weili's power will be a big difference maker. And in the end, she's going to crack Rose's chin and find a late TKO. I'm going to say 5th round for the champ, and still.
Definitely one of the best fights that can be made, period, in the sport right now. Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas. Oh, man. I do want to control myself because my expectations are that this is going to be an incredible firefight. This is going to be just a back and forth war, and it's going to be an extravaganza. I mean, Rose has been through her fair share of exciting scraps. Weili Zhang is coming off of easily one of the best fights of all time against Joanna Jacek. And the thing is, their styles clash in a way where I expect a lot of action. I think it's going to be the power of Weili Zhang against the fluidity and footwork of Rose Namajunas. And that's not to say that either lady doesn't have the strengths of the other. Like, Rose certainly has knockout power. We've seen it before. Weili Zhang is certainly a very gifted technical striker. And so there's that. But it just looks like an exciting matchup to me. I think it's gonna come down to the grappling on this one. Now, Weili is, I think, underappreciated as a ground fighter, but I think Rose can, if she is able to land an early takedown or at least threaten with that possibility, just put enough hesitation in Weili to get that, accelerate that speed advantage, for her speed advantage to be even greater, and to slow down the reflexes of Weili. I think that would be the means to victory for Rose, and I think she gets that done. I think if you add that element of the possibility of grappling, then it's going to just mean that Rose is going to be able to be sharper, be faster, move more fluidly, and yeah, that should be an exciting fight.